secondary treatment system is a system that's using aerobic bacteria as well as anaerobic bacteria. A typical old septic tank is just a primary anaerobic tank. A secondary treatment system is one that's using aerobic bacteria and anaerobic bacteria with the associated filters.
So the wastewater from the house enters the first chamber of the treatment plant, and this first chamber acts like a septic tank, and it settles out the solids from the wastewater. These solids form a sludge layer at the bottom. Fats and oils will rise to the top to form a scum layer, and clear effluent between these layers will then pass through a filter that will need to be cleaned as part of the maintenance program. Most of the wastewater treatment occurs in the next chamber, where air is mixed with the effluent, which passes through a series of media. The media acts as an anchor point for aerobic bacteria, which feed on nutrients in the wastewater and achieve secondary treatment. Now, treated effluent then passes from the aeration chamber into a clarification chamber, where further settlement occurs. At the final stage, effluent moves from the clarification chamber to the final pump chamber, from where it is pumped to the wastewater distribution field.
The pump out chamber, you've got the pump which works on a float, and also above that you've got a high level float. So if the pump's broken or the filter on the outlet is blocked, the high level alarm will come up. Now that usually triggers off the alarm, which is either inside or a red light on the system.
Quite noisy and quite annoying, so you can hit the mute switch and the red light will stay on, and you give us a phone call and we'll come round and sort out your problem.
So the alarm is for the high level of your pump out chamber, if that comes on, that float, or the alarm will also be triggered if your blower, which is doing the aerating, if that fails.
What is this alarm?
Well, some alarms are like a light panel inside, and they go inside your house. They have little LED lights that tell you air or water. Some just have a light on top of the system. So the main problem that can go wrong with aerobic treatment systems is the outlet filter will get blocked because it's getting a little bit dirty in that chamber for one reason or another. You can clean them yourselves, or you can ring your service agent to do that for you.
Now with the gravity fed systems, I've got this impression that there's actually a requirement by the council that it's pumped out every 3 years. Does that apply to these kind of systems as well? What's the council attitude towards wastewater treatment plants?
If your system is under contract with your service provider, you don't have to worry about the council requirements for a 3-yearly pump out of your primary tank. Because your service agent is going over your whole system on a 6-monthly basis or yearly basis, they are checking your sludge levels and they will advise you when to get it pumped out.
The septic tank, if you think of it as this living organism.
So you've got bacteria, you've got aerobic bacteria that are working away, working hard for you, just like in a compost bin or something like that.
And part of that looking after it is really thinking about every single thing that goes down that toilet, goes down the sink, goes down the shower, and that's actually a lot of products. And if you sat there one day and actually went through a list of what you put down your kitchen sink, what you put down your toilet, you know, what you put down all these things, it's a good exercise to actually do. And then maybe think, you know, is that going to harm the bacteria? Will that kill it? And will that make it not function? Because if your septic tank doesn't function properly, it will come back and bite you. Thinking about your septic tank and water's a really big concern, and it should be to you, because if you flood your septic tank, you're going to have the solids rising from there and blocking those drains, and you're going to have real problems. It's going to bite you, and you're going to have the health issues that come with that, as well as costing a lot of money to call people in to fix it up. So avoid that by actually minimising the amount of water that you put down your septics at one time. For example, your washing. If you're one of those people who've always done your washing in the weekend, you've got a large family and you do several loads all at once, you're going to have to change some of your habits there. And it's just, maybe you do it a couple of times in the week, so you're only doing one load, because it will flood the septic and you will have problems.
If you fail to get your septic tank cleaned out, those solid particles will, over a period of time, run down into your drainage field, and they'll clog your field up and they lose their efficiency, and ultimately it will lead to complete failure of your system, and you'll have to have your system completely replaced. The cost of the septic tank clean out once every 3 years is a very low cost compared to replacing your entire system.
What we do with the solids is we pull them out of the bottom of the tanks using those 4-inch valves and our big 4-inch waste pump, and we push them into the worm terraces. You can see just down here, that's sort of the point of entry. It's all a bit wet and disgusting. Further on it looks a bit better. And the worms quietly chew away and have a ball. They chew through the septic quite happily. These are Yersinia foetida, they're called the tiger worms, and they're the common compost worms, so they'll be at home in everybody's worm bins. But they're also sewage worms, and they live in people's septic tanks, and they live in my field. This little band here, that's their sexual organ, and what they do when they mate is 2 of them get themselves tied into knots, and they rub against each other, and they fertilise each other's bands. And then they lay little eggs called cocoons. They're little green cocoons which might contain anything up to 12 baby worms. I can show you some baby worms that have just hatched if you want me to. I think these are my babies. What you get out of those cocoons when they hatch. My hatchlings.
Composting toilets are the way to go. They're simple to make, they're very economical to make. They're non-smelling. You can have it smelling. You can have them attached to the house. You don't have to have them away. They're not, as when you mention composting toilets to people, they always think of long drops. And I don't know where that correlation comes, but you know, stinking bloody things, but they're not smelly things. They can be beautiful, clean, lovely, hygienic places, as Derek's got here. There's not a problem with them.
Oh, we're home. We're at Derek and Eleanor's home. It's at Lavender Farm, and we're in our compost toilet. I guess there's 3 main things I find. I don't have a huge septic system sitting somewhere that I have to deal with. There's a very simple door out the back there that you open up probably twice a year, and I probably get half a dozen wheelbarrows full of pretty good compost which I can use on the trees outside. And the other thing is that I'm not using huge amounts of water, obviously.
Water is a big problem. In a normal house with flush toilets, they use an incredible amount of water. I think it's 30% of your water usage is flushed down the toilet. All that water, that beautiful fresh water, which the world is running out of, you know, so there's only a very small amount of actual fresh water in this world. And here we are continuously polluting it. We poo in our toilets and we shove all this water on and wash it down, and it all becomes polluted water when you don't need any water. People have got to get used to looking at their own waste, actually, I suppose, and you know, it is a health thing. Actually, it's really, I think, quite healthy to look at that. But instead of having the old scenario of flushing away and forgetting about it, is actually thinking, well, that is part of me. I own that. Let me do something about it.